Hey, what's going on? My name is Victor Adetiba, and I am your host on today's episode of the ScrumMaster Circle of Success. And today we have a guest with us, a very good friend of mine, even prior to him becoming a Scrum Master. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to DeAndre Morgan. DeAndre, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. So let's talk about your journey um, into IT and then later becoming a Scrum Master because one of the reasons that I wanted to do the Scrum Master Circle of Success is because so many times I talk to people who are looking to get into IT or are wanting to make that transition, particularly into the role of a Scrum Master, and they have a lot of self doubt. There's a lot of negative feelings and emotions about moving into a new industry, and so I just wanted to highlight some people that I know that have had success in this space and that have had a lot of wins, right? And so just want to talk to them a little bit about you and your story. So before we get into the IT piece, tell us a little bit about your background, like early childhood, coming into like high school, and if you have any college experience.
All right. Born and raised Dallas, Texas, by way of Oak Cliff, like everybody else. um, moved to the suburbs from the projects when I was probably in the second or third grade, and that was probably the best thing to happen to me, just be in a different environment, something I wasn't used to. Moved to Cedar Hill, Texas, fourth grade, second, third, and fourth grade. By fifth grade, we were in Duncanville, and it's kind of where I grew up. Graduated high school, class of 2000 from Duncanville High School. So I'm a proud Panther. Um, and then, yeah, from there, just, I didn't actually don't have any formal college experience. I went to ITT Tech. I don't know if you can really even consider that a college. Wasn't accredited, doesn't even exist now. And so, but I gained some valuable experience there. I went for computer aided drafting and design. Um, and it was an 18-month program. I completed it. And, but the funny thing is, I never went into a career in computer aided drafting. So I never like actually pursued it. Still have a passion for it a little bit, but I never really pursued it. Um, and then just started working, jobs here and there, grocery store, Radio Shack. Um, Let me see. Then I switched it up and moved into call centers, and that was my first exposure to, like, I guess some form of IT, just kind of dealing with the IT guys there. I always had an interest in computers and things like that and technology, but still never really pursued it. Um, from there, I kind of moved into supervisory within the call center, customer service. And that's where I think I kind of found my niche. Um, if you have soft skills, a people person, all of that sort of stuff,
Hmm.
that really works well in that particular field. Um, and so, yeah, that's kind of like the start of my career professionally as far as corporate goes. Um, so,
And so
yeah, did you?
let's pause there for a moment. So, how long were you kind of in the management position at some different call centers? We'll say.
I would say probably a total of about maybe 8 years.
Okay. And so, what was the highest salary or annual income that you had hit kind of at that point?
Say 55,
50.
55K a year.
Okay. And did you see, I guess, a path to get to 65 or 75 or 85 on the current trajectory that you were headed on?
I would say not without the formal education behind it, like a degree. I don't have a bachelor's, master's, or even an associate's
Hmm.
in anything that a corporate company would be interested in. And so, not without that, no.
Okay. Um, and so, tell me about, right. So I know life changed for you around the time that you were at the call center, right? So
Yep.
kind of in your latter years at the call center, you wound up getting married, right?
Mhm. Got married, had children. Actually, Yeah, so that was around what 2015,
Mm-hmm.
and then had my first child by 2017,
Mm-hmm.
and so life really did change. And so yeah, that was like obviously a huge milestone, huge step in my life.
Sure.
Getting married and having children. So it's kind of the onset of the American dream, so to speak. But
Right.
obviously there's more to it than that. So.
Sure. And so at that point, right, you're still probably making around the 50, 55K range. And so now that you've got two additional like people that you're responsible for, did the financial strain start to set in yet at that point, or were you still able to comfortably support the household at that salary?
Um, I wouldn't say comfortably,
Hmm.
but you could definitely feel it. I mean,
Sure.
children cost money, so they just do,
Right. Right. They don't got free
and
kids out there.
nah, there's no such thing. And they cost a lot than when you and I were growing up. So
Right.
it cost a lot more, excuse me, than
Hmm.
when you and I were coming up. So you definitely feel the constraints financially. Things get a little bit tighter, and you may not be able to necessarily live the lifestyle that you envision at that salary rate.
Sure. Sure. So I know shortly after, man, was it shortly after your first daughter?
Hmm.
Something happened at the company, right?
Yep. So I experienced a layoff, the first in my career.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can't necessarily say I didn't see it coming. Um, just how things were going at the company. There was a lot of uncertainty. The more questions you ask, the more uncomfortable the responses get as far as
Sure.
the person giving them.
Mm-hmm.
So you can somewhat see the writing on the wall, but I didn't expect it to go down how it went down. So.
Sure. So you get laid off, right?
Mhm.
Think you got some type of maybe severance package or something like that.
Yeah, I got a okay severance package.
Okay.
That sustained us while I found something else to do. So.
Sure. And so I think it was around this time that you and I started talking, and I started kind of telling you about IT, or we started talking about IT, and actually we probably started talking a little bit before that, but
A little bit
I think
before
it,
that, yeah.
I think it was around this time that maybe you started to take it a little bit more seriously, right?
Yeah. So, obviously, I wanted a career that was, obviously more stable than where I was at.
Mm-hmm.
So you and I had a number of conversations, about what I could possibly do next, and what was down the road for me. And so I began that journey into IT. Specifically at that time was, I guess, desktop support.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that's like a good good way in, good
Sure.
avenue in
Sure.
to IT and kind of get your feet wet and get introduced to it. But that's obviously like entry level, low level IT, excuse me, work there. So, but that's what I end up doing next.
And so as you made that transition, tell me about the first role that you got that was kind of officially an IT role. What was the salary and how long did your time last at that position?
So it was desktop support, specifically restaurant support. I won't name the
Mm-hmm.
restaurant, but I was doing desktop support, restaurant support for a restaurant industry company.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the rate was $21 an hour,
Okay.
which obviously was a step back from the 55, but I understood that it probably would be considering I was changing careers.
Sure. So $21 an hour roughly equates to about 42K, we'll say.
Correct.
And so you know it is a step back, right? But
Hmm.
what were your thoughts of that role in IT versus before you started working? Because I can remember when we originally started talking, you maybe had some type of apprehensions or some reservations that maybe it wasn't for you, or maybe you weren't maybe technically savvy enough, or maybe someone with your background would struggle transitioning into a role in IT. So what was the actual experience like once you got there?
It was actually a really positive experience. The work environment was positive. The people were positive, and the work is the work.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they did a really great job of being patient and getting everyone up to speed with how they did things and what their expectations were.
Mm-hmm.
So my experience was positive. Um, and then, so do you want to talk about what happens after that, or?
Yeah. So go ahead. Go ahead. You can go into it.
So then COVID happens,
Mm.
um, and some uncertainty there. We transitioned to working from home, so now I'm doing the desktop support thing, restaurant support from home,
Mm-hmm.
which really isn't a problem, not an issue. You still have the same level of support. It's just everything is telecommunicated as opposed to being able to just walk up to someone and ask them a question. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, and but you know what, man, they kind of got old like really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a lot of corporations that were affected by the pandemic, not just individuals, and so that led to layoffs again.
Mm.
And during that time, I actually got laid off twice. Got laid off, and they brought us back because they were able to secure, I guess, PPP loans, so they could still pay us. So then we got back in to working, but then we got laid off again.
Mm.
Um, and it was around that second layoff that I realized, like, you know what, like I really have to do something different. I really have to pivot and really try to lock down my future and be somewhat pandemic proof,
Right.
and do something different, try something different. So yeah.
And so around this time, actually before this, I started talking to you about right Agile and
Hmm.
transitioning into the role of a Scrum Master. And so you were a little bit resistant, right? And so
That's putting
as
it
I
nicely.
said again,
So that's putting it nicely.
that's putting it nicely. I'll let you put it in your own words, but as I start building out this program and this training program, and start having success with students who are going through it and getting offers. A lot of them were in our same circle, right? And so you started seeing some of these people's, I guess, lives and lifestyles changing. And so at some point, you eventually decided that you wanted to take the leap of faith and become a Scrum Master. So tell me about how and why that transition happened for you.
Well, so it was one of those things where you see the success of different people. Obviously, my wife's friends with some of the people who were successful in the program as well, and she would mention something about it. And all the while I was doing the restaurant support, desktop support, situation, we started having those conversations. And I made excuses why I can't do it. I kind of want to see where this goes and that sort of thing. And I'm just thankful that you kept having those conversations with me. Um, but obviously the success of people that we know, outside of, I guess, yourself, um, making that transition, really, I think, gave me the momentum to realize that what, this is possible for me as well. This is something that I could do. Um, and that provided an avenue for me to pivot and start my transition into becoming an agile professional.
Sure. So you went and you got certified. You
Correct.
went to one of the companies that we partner with, Bearded Eagle,
Uh-huh.
to get certified. Virtual class, of course, and then you decided to come enroll in the program, as we affectionately call it. And so,
Correct.
um, talk a little bit about what your experience was like in the program, going through the curriculum, kind of learning a little bit more in depth and more hands on about Scrum, both theory and practical. Talk about that.
So so like as you said, I got certified, received my CSM and CSPO from Bearded Eagle, and then I decided to enroll in the program. Obviously, I got certified with the idea that I would enroll in the program to because I determined that that was my best path to success. And so, upon enrolling in the program, we were doing at that time nightly calls, um, and you have access to just different resources, graduates working Scrum Masters, um, the curriculum, which obviously it was robust, probably not as robust as it is now, obviously, but it was robust, and the fact that it got you prepared for what you would be doing as an agile professional. Going through the curriculum, it really it's structured in a way to where it introduces you into it the way you should be, um, and it's set up in a way to where um, you have your own basically Scrum board or Jira board or Kanban board or however you want to put it. Um, and Yeah, so it just basically walks you through from start to finish the curriculum, gets you prepared for, interviewing, how to structure your social profiles, um, you
Let
know,
me let me ask you this, Dre. As it relates to the program and your time there, what would you say is the most difficult part of the program that you had to kind of endure and push through?
um, I'm just gonna be transparent. Obviously, one of the pillars of Scrum, but not cheating yourself is a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
The program is self-paced. You complete it in the time that you completed it. Myself, was 60 days. Some take longer. Some, if they really work at it, are faster than that. But not cheating yourself.
Mm.
There's a lot of, I guess, opportunity to do so when you go through the backlog of curriculum. But at the same time, you get out of life what you put into it. The same with this
Sure,
program.
sure.
You get out of it what you put into it. And there would be a day or so where I wouldn't touch anything regarding the program,
Mm-hmm.
um, for whatever reason. But then there was times where I would like really hit it hard and, um, really try to get ahead a little bit, not skip ahead, but, move at a faster pace with getting things done.
Sure.
Um, so I made it a point to make sure I completed every story that was in my backlog within a program to make sure I complete it because I didn't want to cheat myself um, in doing so. So
Sure. And so if you had to give advice to someone that was considering going into the program or maybe a little bit apprehensive about joining, what would you say to them?
I would say absolutely 100% without a doubt, invest in yourself. You have to keep in mind that I joined during the time where I was laid off. So I didn't have any income coming in. And I still took a leap of faith and invested in myself. If you look at this program as an investment in yourself, um, and you bet on yourself, you're going to win. Um, Mainly because of the resources that you have available within the program. You have access to working Scrum Masters. You have access to hours and hours of interviews and a playlist of, just different things that'll get you prepared. The assignments in there really shed a light on the things that you're going to be doing when you're actually in a position working, and of course you don't know that until you're in the job, but then you look back on it like, this program, like, without a doubt really set me up for success on a daily within my job. Um, and so I would say, without a doubt, 100% invest in yourself. Um, I don't know, if, pricing or cost, pushes people away, but let's just say, for instance, it does. And you try to go the university route or the college route, community college route, you're going to spend that on, 2, 3, 4 years to get your degree. Why not invest that same amount or less and go through the program and have an immediate return on your investment um, by becoming an agile professional and working in a job that's going to pay you 6 figures plus?
So we talking about money now. We talk about money. So I know that right out of the gate, I think you were one of the students who came through the program, and I think you're like 3 for 3, right?
Yep.
Three for
Yeah,
three.
I had 3 interviews with three Fortune 300 companies,
Sure.
and I received an offer from each one of
And so give me a dollar amount breakdown for each of
them.
those
Company
salaries.
number one
Mhm.
was $59.47 an hour, roughly $60 an hour.
So we
Comes
call it
out to
120K.
correct.
Okay.
Um, the second company was $65 an hour. So that's
130K.
130, 137, or somewhere in there.
Hmm.
And the third company was $60.10 an hour,
Okay.
um, which is 125K.
Okay. It's a lot of offers, man. And so I know that you obviously chose one of those and worked for several months before getting converted over. So tell me about what that process was, kind of your first week or few months in the organization, and then how long it took you to be converted over from a contractor to a full-time employee.
All right. So I think I'll preface this by saying, to start, I was advised that it was a 3 to 6 month contract at best. Um, I took the position knowing that I was likely a fill in for someone until they either came back from maternity leave or whatever leave that they were on. So I took that as an opportunity to, um, bet on myself again. At this point, I'd already bet on myself and received an offer. Um, Actually, 3 offers. So I figured I would bet on myself again, and I challenged myself to see if I can turn this 3 to 6 month at best opportunity into a full time job. And so to start, um, it was it was a lot to take in, just like anytime you're starting something new. Um, and at this level, there really isn't a lot of training. They'll get you up to speed on the systems and kind of how they do things, but there's really not a lot of training at all. You kind of learn by doing, which is the type of learner that I am. So it's perfectly suited for me as far as I'm concerned.
Sure.
So the 3 month contract turned into being extended for 6 months. The 6 month contract turned into being extended for a full year. And before I could even get into 2 months into that, year extension, I was converted to be, a full time associate. Um,
Nice.
so that whole process was, um, it wasn't as, like, looking back on it, it wasn't as difficult as I thought it was initially. It was just one of those things, man. When you're in the right situation and you gamble on yourself, and you really care about what you do and you're passionate about what you do. Things seem to really work out. I'm a man of faith. I prayed for favor, and I received just that in every situation that was presented to me. So,
Yeah.
very thankful for that. Um, and so, yeah, that's pretty much the gist of that.
Wonderful, man. I love it. I love it. Well, DeAndre, I don't want to take too much of your time, but do you have any closing remarks or anything that you would like to share Um,
I'll say this: the since receiving the permanent offer or the full time offer, there has not been a shortage of um, recruiters and job postings and headhunters that reach out to me for potentially filling a role. So this particular industry, you have the opportunity to have some very lucrative offers and have a life changing experience really quickly. It took me 60 days to um, complete the program and receive the first of three offers. And that was, wow, that was actually April of last year. So it's been
Man,
a year.
wow.
Um, to have such a life changing experience and to be living in it, uh, at sometimes it's still surreal, but at the same time, like I said, I'm a man of faith, and I prayed about um, the outcome that I have. I gambled on myself, and with the right support system, you can pretty much achieve anything you set your mind to. My wife was very supportive. My friends were very supportive. The program was incredibly supportive, still is. Um, and um, so yeah, I would say any advice, just or any parting words, just take that leap of faith, gamble on yourself, and you'll win. I promise you, you will.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, DeAndre. Well, that's it. If you'd like to see any additional episodes or hear any additional stories of Scrum Masters who have had success in our program and hear them tell their story in the Scrum Master Circle of Success, then you can go to scrumlife.com, and take a look at our stories as well as our other interview series that we've got. We've got an Agile Leadership series where we interview different Agile professionals, recruiters, Scrum Masters, product owners, developers, engineers in the technical industry, and hear about their background and how they work with different Agile delivery teams. So with that, I'm Victor Adatiba. This is DeAndre Morgan. Y'all have a wonderful day. Peace.